Welcome to the Platinum Agent Podcast, where gold is just the beginning. I'm Renee Ruth, top producing agent, global real estate educator, and, believe it or not, a 2025 Grammy nominee. But today I'm here to help you hit the highest level in real estate. This is the Agent to Agent podcast designed to help you grow, scale, and reach platinum status in your business. Expect powerful strategies, expert insights, and real conversations about what it takes to dominate in real estate. And of course, I'm not doing this alone. My co-host Joshua is here too. He may not talk much, he is a dog after all, but he's got a nose for success and a talent for keeping me on track. So if you're ready to stop playing small and start thinking bigger, hit that subscribe button and let's go platinum together. Hey everybody, welcome to the Platinum Agent Podcast. I am your host, Renee Ruth. I am a top producing agent in the state of Virginia, and today my guests are some incredible performers in Virginia as well. I've got Thomas McConnell and John Luterman on the call, and they're a powerhouse duo behind the Patriot Real Estate Partners, also top performers right here in this state. And they're known for being committed to exceptional client service and community-driven real estate solutions. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And it is such a pleasure. I know we almost jumped into this before this podcast started. I want to know more about you guys, and let's start at the beginning, just so anyone listening can get to know more about you guys. There's two of you, so we'll take turns, but let me know background, origin story. So what led you guys into real estate? Did you come into this together? Was this born, give me the backstory.
Yeah. You want me to go first, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I would say it started about 15 years ago for me, the entrepreneurial journey. I started reading books, some of the standard ones, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, like those quintessential self-development type books. And then I started my first business about 12 years ago. It was a nutrition company. We actually developed a nootropic vitamin pack for your brain. And that was like the keystone item, I guess. And then also some just various supplements that I used during the gym. So that was really cool. I learned a lot, knocked on a whole bunch of doors, brick and mortar, worked on my sales technique, trying to get people to sell that product, as well as SEO, website, and that type of stuff. So learned a lot, and then jumped into online retail, like e-commerce type stuff, a couple different online stores. I just kept going, kept trying different things until I found something I loved. I even did promotional deals with UFC fighters. So an infrared sauna company flew me around the US, and I would hang out, have dinners, train with UFC fighters, and got them to promote his deal. And then I was a financial advisor after that, so got my licenses there. But out of all of it, I just kind of thought, like, how can I make the biggest positive impact on somebody's life? And real estate just kind of hit me, because I remember coming up, like, if I had good realtors, what a change in trajectory that could have put me on in life. So that's why I decided I'm going to go all in on this thing.
Yes. And you've been all in how many years?
7
years. Amazing. Mm-hmm. And I see, really side note, LU. Ah!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm finishing my graduate degree in leadership right now, just a few classes out.
So you didn't do undergrad?
My undergrad was with Embry-Riddle in technical management.
No way. So I have 4 degrees from Liberty, but that's another story.
Oh, right on.
I just happened to, I got, the guitars got me first, and then you're talking.
Yeah. Nice.
John, tell us your story.
Yeah, so my story is as dissimilar to his. So he jumped right into entrepreneurship very, very early. We both were career military members, right? So I did 22 years, he did 20. And so I was really focused on that. So before I joined the military, I thought about doing athletics. Like I got some offers to go some places at high school, but ultimately joined the Air Force. Did my time in there, jumping, bouncing around, moving all over the world. And Tom hit the nail on the head. You go to certain places, and if you learn some things when you're young, and it puts you ahead. Well, unfortunately, those people weren't there when I was younger, and that was part of the transition, as I got closer to the end of my career, I wanted to look at something I could do, right? And real estate had always been on my mind. I tried a bunch of different things. Actually, I do some acting occasionally too. You can find me on IMDb. I've been in some stuff you might have seen. So did that for a while. Ultimately, though, wanted to try real estate and had been on my radar for a bit. My wife finally, kind of pushed and said, hey, we're getting towards the end of the career. Like, what are you going to do? And I kept hearing Tom's name come up. We were in the same unit at the time. And I went and sat down in his office, right? Just, hey man, let's talk about real estate. And he's like, let's talk about real estate. And so that was ultimately the genesis of the team. He was producing at a really high level already and had, it started to kind of bounce up against his bandwidth of being active duty and being a full-time agent and had been considering a team. And ironically had a short list of folks that he was going to consider working with. And because we had worked together in the unit, I happened to be on that short list. So when I walked in his office, it was a serendipity, I guess. And so I just sat down and literally, the term drinking from the fire hose, I just, basically followed his lead, learned the industry. I already had a heart for service. One of my jobs in the Air Force was as a first sergeant, and that is care and feeding of the unit, right? So all the folks in the unit, how do we take care of them? How do we make sure their home life is good? How do we make sure that they stay out of trouble? How do we ensure that they're focused on the mission? And so this job was the closest thing that really kind of matched that drive to help others, and ultimately fell in love with it. It's what convinced me to finally say, okay, after 22 years, the military can live without me and move full time into this.
If it can live without you, I don't know. That sounds like you guys are pretty solid additions to the American military. Thank you for your service, by the way, gentlemen. But yeah, having said that, we know as agents that one of the biggest things that drives success is that it's not about the deal. In fact, usually when you're buying or selling a home, there's a really big story connected to that, and being a part of people's lives in that way really is the big picture. So having said that, Tom, you've built a wildly successful career that John saw. Do you have any insights on how I know you mentioned some of the lead up to that, but what differentiated you in your market to do that?
So I've always had my radar on high alert for really good people, and that's one of my main motivators. It's kind of selfish, but building like big businesses, because I want people around me that are awesome, because I know when you get in a room with awesome people, I mean, the results are exponential. So unbeknownst to John, he the first time he stepped in my office and said one full sentence, I was like, yeah, I got my eye on you. So, but also on that note, I think the military is a really good forge to build the skills that we as realtors need, especially in John's career field, because he was a first shirt for quite some time, for 5 years or so, right? And I mean, you're a firefighter, you're a therapist, you're a life coach, and that's what you do. You're always available, and you're solving problems, you're taking care of people, and you're growing them at the same time. So, man, I think the military is just such a good mechanism to grow amazing realtors. And that's what got me excited too, because I also know there's such a big need in the military realm to teach these guys. Like me and John said, if we knew half the things we do now, we would have like 7 houses throughout our whole career and just been set up in such a different way. And that's what truly excites us.
So do you guys do anything education wise in the military community for real estate? Like, what is it you guys are, because this would really differentiate you in your market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yep. We love to do just basically home buying, first time home buyer stuff specifically, and targeting our younger population in the military, the education that we didn't necessarily have. And so the military is a wonderful just smorgasbord of different benefits and things that you can avail yourself of. Most folks in the military, especially when they're young, they have no clue about half of it, maybe 90% of it, right? And so our goal in that case is to just put it out in front of them. Here's what a VA loan can do for you. Here's what home ownership can do for you. Here's what you can look at if you start stacking doors, at every location. The military is going to pay you a housing allowance, right? And so you can invest that, or you can pay a landlord, right? And it's our position that the earlier you can invest in smart investments, real estate, and those types of things, it's just a wealth builder. So when it does come time to leave the military, whether that's after your first tour or like us after multiple decades, you have a foundation to move forward that makes you, comfortable, broadens your horizons, allows you to reach out and really do something you want to do, as opposed to, oh man, I got to get another job. Yeah, I retired.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yeah, I'm getting out of the military, but man, it's time to go work at, some other menial job because I have to have the income.
Yeah, I love that, because I know that, Tom, you've built your business without being heavy on the marketing. So this is one of the tools that you've used, is kind of offering value to.
And we understand the first purchase somebody makes, like a first-time home buyer, we need to knock that out of the park for them, because we know if they have success in that first purchase, they're likely to do the second time, a third time. And part of it is just us watching out for them, but more so educating them on the process, what to look for, what to consider, like location, schools, all the capital expenditures like roof, the major items, HVAC, that type of thing. So we want to make sure they crush it in the first one. And we've already seen this just in the 3 or 4 years we've been in Virginia. Like, our first time home buyers are buying their second door, and like they have intentions to keep it going, which is really exciting to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. So you basically have a strong referral business. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, it's all referral right now. That's our strongest pillar, but we are working on systematizing and getting the other things that the traditional real estate environment requires. But the exciting part is the success that we've had so far. It's only going to be amplified once we put those structures in place.
I was about to say, if you're doing primarily referral business through the military, when you start to branch out into some of these lead generation opportunities, it could, triple, 10x your business.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's not that we don't do any lead gen. Of course, we're out there doing the basics are there. You got to do them, right? I'm sure everyone that's listening, all the agents at some point say to themselves, "There's got to be an easier way," right? But we're also doing those things. But a lot of it is folks reaching out to us. Hey, someone had a great experience with you, and you came highly recommended. And for us, that is, that is the ultimate compliment, that they can say someone that we helped make this huge life-changing purchase. They get back and, they have someone get in touch, or they talk with us about someone that's coming, or a family member, or whatever it happens to be, because now we know they're signing their name at the bottom of what we're doing. And that's very important.
And I think any agent listening, this is such a great example of how you can build, like, that idea of a funnel that grows over time, where you build lifelong relationships. And I think it goes towards your mantra, service never ends at sold. So can you guys expand, both of you, maybe on how that phrase came about, and then how you're enacting that in your business?
Oh man, I don't know how it came about. I was sitting in front of my computer working on marketing and graphics and things like that. And there seemed like a correlation between service and military, and the fact that I truly stand by that. Like, I'm going to be with you as soon, like far after settlement. Like, if you need assistance with contractors or whatever it might be, we're always going to be there for that individual.
No, that's amazing, because I think that's how you get your referral. Like, these guys, these guys are not looking at a payday; they're looking at a relationship, right?
Yeah, me and John always joke we only got into this field to make new friends, basically.
I'd be honest with you, I have so many text change of just what used to be clients, now I would consider friends. And, it's always like questions, or, hey, our kids are doing this or that. And so it is almost, and it's just going to sound cold. Let me walk through it a little bit. It's almost a form of database management where you're nurturing. But when you do a good enough job, these clients are doing some of the nurturing for you, because they're reaching out to you they trust your judgment, and so they reach out to you for help, and they say, hey, I'm putting up a new fence. Who do you got? Or I need flooring. Who do you got? Right. And so just outside of the normal, here's an email for your birthday or whatever, like, we're texting, we're calling, we're talking to these folks constantly. And sometimes it's it's jokes. Sometimes we're seeing them on, we're playing a video game or something. Sometimes it's,
Super Bowl party.
Super Bowl party, contractors, holiday things. So it is a holistic approach. I have clients that I helped them buy their house years ago, and I still get questions. I still get concerns. I still get, hey, what do you think of X, Y, and Z? Mom's moving to the area, whatever. It is really just a fantastic, connection that we build. So.
Do you guys have any nuts and bolts for that? Like, I'm thinking if I was an agent listening, right? Like, how do you said boring systems, but systems are what work, right? So how do you have a follow-up system, or is it just is it really just an organic situation, or is there something you've put in place?
Yeah, we have a few systems. So we're about to adopt Follow-Up Boss. So we're going to use that quite a bit more. But we also have an operations manager, Chilla. She's amazing. She does things like, she's a rock star. She speaks like 3 or 4 languages. She's pretty awesome. But she does things like sends out the birthday emails and just the communication and the weekly, monthly type stuff. We're building newsletters. So there is that. But every once in a while, like maybe it's on my calendar 3 days a week for 1 hour. I'll go just through my database and catch up with people, see how they're doing. And just ask about them, see what's going on in their life.
I love that. Just carve out an hour a week, just an hour touch base with people. Yeah. Do you do the same thing, John?
So I do. The other thing I think is some of that is built during the transaction, right? And how communicative you are, how forthright and forthcoming you are, how much you build trust over the course of this situation, right? And so these guys come to you, and when they first come to you, they don't really know you, but they get to know you after the 6, 8, 10 weeks you're working with them as you're trying to find them a house, right? Or help sell their house. And so they kind of learn who you are. You learn a little bit of who they are. You learn about what's important. And so when you're emphasizing those things that's important to them, it builds a natural connection, right? So when I'm asking them about, hey, saw on Facebook your kid isn't feeling well, or, hey, do we need to push this back because, I noticed we got some stuff going on at work. Do we need to shift things back and forth? What's most convenient for you, right? That just kind of builds that natural trust. And so I think, nurturing is obviously important. You have to do it. But the foundation starts in the transaction itself and showing them that you're looking out for them at the end of the day, no matter what comes down, what comes through, what the numbers say at the end. You have their best interest at heart, and that builds an automatic connection that you can then nurture.
That literally echoes, I read Patriot Real Estate Partners' mission is to serve clients with excellence. And I think you guys have exemplified that on this podcast. I have one question for both of you. It might take a little bit of thought. You may have read it earlier, but if you had to start your real estate career over again, because I thought about this myself, I was like, what would I tell myself? If you had to start it over again, but you were the coach for yourself, what would be the first thing you would tell yourself to do?
Yeah, I got a few.
Okay.
So I would say spend some time building your foundation, your foundational knowledge, not only know the contracts inside and out, because you are helping somebody with one of the biggest purchases, investments they make in life, and you have a lot of responsibility to do right by them. I would also say, and I followed this path, join a team. Even though I was ambitious and did a lot of other businesses and was an entrepreneur and had certain skill sets that definitely helped, I just didn't know what I didn't know. And I wanted to ensure I did such a good job for people, to care them the right way, that somebody was there to coach me, support me, and look over my shoulder. Then dive into the market, make sure you understand it, make sure you understand investments, elements of it. And then finally, I would say, know that it's going to be hard. Anything worth doing is going to be hard, right? And real estate seems like it's one of those industries that you will not see the fruits of your labor until you plant that seed, water it some more, maybe sing to it. But when that thing sprouts, it bears a lot of fruit. It's just a matter of keep going until you open that door, and then the momentum starts. And once it starts, it's like a snowball going down a hill. The more successful you are, the more success you'll get.
Agreed. I always say it's kind of like you're planting a field. Like when a farmer plants he doesn't buy a farm and suddenly have a crop. Like
Yeah.
he's got to till the soil first, and then you have to plant the seeds, and then you have to love on those seeds, and then maybe a year later you're going to have, but when the crop comes, like, as we all know on this call, when we become a top performer because you're resilient against the planting and the nurturing process. John, John, your question. So if you were to go back to coach yourself starting out,
I would say similar to Tom, find a mentor, whether it's a team, whether it's an individual agent, find someone, follow them around like a duck, right? It's something that we did in the military, where when you take a young person that comes in the military, you put them with a experienced NCO or non-commissioned officer, right? And let them learn. Like, we're not going to expect too much from you right out of the gate, but we're going to teach you A, B, C, X, Y, Z, like start to finish, and be teachable in that moment, right? A lot of people, they come in this industry, they're coming from other things. Maybe they're successful in some other things. Would have been real easy for Tom, with all his entrepreneurial background and the financial management, to jump in this industry very cocky and like, oh, this is too easy. I know what I'm doing, right? But he came in, he put his head down, he door knocked, he did the grinding, right? And so find a mentor, be teachable, be coachable, absorb. And then the second thing is I always get how do I jumpstart? How do I think outside the box? How do I do this? Learn the basics. Do the basics, right? Everyone overlooks they want to pay for system A, or they want to, this will work. You just got to put, $10,000 into it, or you have to buy this thing. No, are you working your sphere? Are you using your social media? Are you making those phone calls? Are you door knocking? Are you, sending out mailers? Are you doing those everyday, basic, boring things that we know generate, they generate business? And so learn the basics, do the basics, even when they're uncomfortable, and even when they're boring, get up and make it happen.
I say that all the time. It's basically doing the same activity every single day on repeat. And then and over time people get discouraged. I did 2 open houses and nothing happened, and they quit, and it's like, no, I tell everyone that comes in, plan to do open houses for the next year.
Yeah.
And no questions asked. Doesn't matter if no one shows, people show one whole year, and then count your business after a year and then determine if this is successful for you. Now, I also say, if you have 0 in a month, you need to talk to somebody, because there's something.
Right. Well, and we follow up
wrong.
is, are you doing all the things? Are you checking boxes, right? So you can say, hey, I'm going to do an open house. Okay. Did you door knock before that open house? Did you print flyers out? Did you let the neighborhood know you were doing it? Did you put all your signs out? Did you put more than one sign, right? Like, so plenty of people will, I did an open house, I can't believe nobody showed up. Okay. Well, are you doing all the things around that to support it, right? Those boring, basic things that successful agents do. I always tell people, if you're going to drive to the grocery store, you don't put it in 4-wheel drive and drive straight there over the bushes and the grass and everything else. You take the road, right? Because the road is the easiest path. Someone's already paved a road in this industry 1,000,000 times over.
Yeah.
Start on the road, right? There'll be time to go off road and do your own thing when you get there, but start on the road. Do those things.
I appreciate that insight for agents, guys, because I think I always believe in paying it forward. Share what you know. But I want to shift gears quick with you guys, because I want to talk about how could, if there's a military family listening, how could a military family navigate home ownership with the right kind of guidance, and what opportunities there might be, as a buyer seller with your team in Virginia?
Yeah. So, and I always sit down and figure out their goals, their current situation, because the last thing we ever want to do is talk anybody into home ownership if they're not ready for it, if they don't have the risk threshold. So we kind of sit down with them, ask them what they know, because the last thing I want to do is just regurgitate a whole bunch of stuff they already know, but figure out what their goals are, explain the concept and the dynamics of buying a home, what it could mean on a long-term investment, right? Anytime somebody comes to us and says, hey, I want to buy a home, I'll sell it in 2 or 3 years. We're like, hey man, home, you probably should just rent, because the home market is kind of like the stock market. It goes up and down over time. The trend has been up, but you got to consider long-term hold. Maybe in 3 or 4 years, we'll see a huge equity boom, kind of like we did in 2020 till now. That's cool, but you always want to have the A plan is to hold it, right? And we explained the risk involved, how to mitigate those risks, maybe some capital set aside, and also a plan once we get a tenant, and the mitigating things that we do with tenant acquisition too, which we did start a property management company to add value to our buyers, because we knew military members' main concern is, I would love to buy a house, but when I leave, I'm terrified because I don't know property managers, or I've heard horror stories. So we can provide them a value that, hey, we're going to take care of it with the same effort, focus that we do our real estate side. I mean, nothing's foolproof, but we're going to do everything in our power to make it as best as we can.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add, John?
Yeah. One of my first questions is always, are you guys going to retire here, leave the military, or are you staying in? Because if you're staying in, then we know you're leaving, the clock starts as soon as you hit boots on the ground, right? So we need to make a plan for that going forward. So when we're looking at homes, we need to look at them through the lens of, yes, it needs to fit our family. Yes, it needs to fit our budget, but we also need to be able to do something with it. Like Tom said, 3 to 4, 5 years ideally, but military is unpredictable. So if it's 2 years, what are we going to do? Right. And so, like he said, that's why we did start the property management company, bring that value to them and give them a little bit of peace of mind that if they had to leave, they could turn this thing into an asset. Right. But we also want to make sure, like I said, most people are ready to buy real estate if they're talking to us, but not everyone is. And that's okay. Right. Like,
yeah,
we also will try to put you in a position, connect you with the right folks to get you ready, whether it's with us or somewhere in the future. If you go on to your next duty installation, not only will we find you a great agent there, but you'll be prepared and you'll understand the process. And then the other thing is, particularly with our first-time buyers, we're going to talk the VA and the VA loan process, just so they understand exactly what that product can do for them. And honestly, there's, like we said, the education piece is tough, and there's a lot of misconception out there about that loan product. Some folks don't understand. There's closing costs associated. There's funding fees. There's some things you just can't lend against.
You can use it more than once.
You can use it more than once. You can use consecutive. You can have multiple VAs, right? Like, so all those things, there's a ton of misconceptions. You only get one. You can only do this. They're totally free, those kind of things. And so we try to dispel some of that, bring knowledge to the fight, and so that way they understand exactly what they're getting into, and they can make a good decision on how to pursue their home buying needs.
Do you guys have a partnership with a VA lender in particular? Like, how do you guys?
We don't have any JV or anything of that manner, but we do have a guy I've vetted over the last several years, and the key thing I was looking for, the best value, save my guys the most money, and the best customer service. A lot of lenders I know pay for marketing or leads or whatever it might be. I told these guys, just save my people the most money, give them the best customer service. And this guy's been a rock star. He's just an animal. He's cut from the same cloth. So it's worked out really good, because then not only do they get a good real estate experience, they get a good title experience and lender experience, and all that kind of comes together. Just they're so impressed, especially if they've bought a house with another agent in the past. They're so impressed on the back end. They write us amazing reviews, and they spread our name around.
So I think that, you're basically, if somebody worked with you, would be coming in and basically seamless from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
A opportunity for them to go through. I mean, there's always bumps along the way, but
sure,
it's well guided.
Yeah.
And we try, and we tell them, obviously all those things are their decision. We'll make recommendations, but we also tell them, we don't care where your money comes from, right? We're going to find you a great house regardless, but we do want to save you money if we can. And so please, check the folks that we recommend versus all the big guys. I'll leave the names out, but you guys know who they are. And so, just check not only what it's going to cost you on monthly payment and interest rate, but check your closing costs. Check what these things, these incentives that they to sometimes provide. Where is that coming from? And just again, raw education, making sure these guys have all the tools that they need.
The former educator in me wildly respects that. Like I went into real estate and I was like, I'm going to teach you how to buy a house because that's my background. So, I'm going to teach you. And then you basically take that knowledge and utilize it in the way that best suits you and your family and your needs. So you guys seem to do a great job. Okay. So wrapping this up, is there anything that you would want to share with Virginia or even at large? I assume you guys have really quick addition. I just thought of, you must do a lot of relos being military. Am I right? Like you've got clients coming from the US or other countries potentially.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have clients right now from Korea.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you do have a lot. How do you navigate that?
We just adapt to their time schedule. Sometimes the good thing is John and I's wives support our crazy work habits. So whenever we have those, sometimes it's a later conversation or whatever it might be. But we've helped so many people buy from out of state. I bought out of state, and I was a realtor at the time. I sold up in Alaska, so I knew a few things, but it was still terrifying even so. So we put together a process that we'll do a virtual live with them, show them the house, show them the neighborhood, though it's not as clear as it could be because of cell phone reception and stuff like that. So afterwards, we'll take a high resolution video of the whole house and as much detail as possible. We're most likely overcritical of the house at that point because we would probably both throw up if they came to the house and didn't like it. So we want to do anything we can to mitigate that risk. So we take a high resolution video that we upload to YouTube, and that's cool because I know I probably did the same thing. I'd want to watch it over and over and over, and they do as well. And that allows them to capture detail, look at stuff, as well as get like a video of the neighborhood, because I'm a firm believer your gut gives you a good feeling if you want to live there or not, depending on just kind of driving around the neighborhood. So we do all that with reports about the schools, locations, amenities, everything we can give them. We try to provide that. So when they pull up to their house the first time, there's minimal surprises and it's what they thought it was, or in most cases, even better, because again, we were overly critical on the house the first time.
Yeah.
Have you had anybody close and they saw it for the first time closing day?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's a terrifying day until they're like, oh, I like it.
Honestly, I've had folks, and I know Tom has too. I've had them close and they don't see it for a month. They don't see it for 6 weeks, and we take care of their home in the interim. Like we, no kidding, will show up, run water, flush toilets, make sure
cut the yard,
lights are working, cut yards, clean things out. And then we put some stuff in there to make sure at the end of the long day, you're traveling sometimes with family, kids, pets, whatever, you get in, it's maybe 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. The time change has got you just beat. And then you walk in the door, you're like, oh, we're hungry. We let's open, So something we put some sundries and food in there. We stock the fridge. We put things like toilet paper and paper towels, those things that you don't always think of. You walk in the door, you're like, oh God, thank you, kind of thing. And honestly, that has been some of the most impactful things, where these guys know that they and their families are cared for. Their house was cared for. We put all this time and effort. They were confident buying with us. They trusted us enough to literally sign for this asset, having not seen it in person. And so we want to make sure that we care for that at the end of the day. And I've had some that have gone a really long time, like I said, multiple weeks, where I'm in there a couple times a week, changing lights so it looks like someone that's not vacant, maybe, making sure things are locked up. Nobody's showing up and breaking windows trying to get in, but all the plumbing works, HVAC works, all that, because the last thing you want is them to show up and one of those things just be a disaster.
Yeah, you guys, I think what you have that's so amazing and so unique is that you've lived the military life. So anybody that's using you have 100% knowledge of what everything that they could go through in the moving process, and everything, and the duress that you're under in these crazy changes with, like you said, families, dogs, because sometimes it comes up quickly. There's just so many I have a friend, sidebar, delete this. I have a friend who works in the military, and she's coast to coast. Her husband's chaplain, and they just got stationed last year back in, because they've been California to Virginia Beach to California. And she's got a disabled daughter. So like these moves are just enormous events, right? So
yeah.
Somebody that's going to be there that understands what it's more than just a move. It really is. Like a military move is a little more than just a move.
It is. We moved 8 times during my 22-year career. One of those times, my wife literally on moving day got kidney stones. So I've got movers in my house. She's in a vacant bedroom on an air mattress, like doubled over, immediately as soon as the door closes, we're out to the hospital to make sure she's cared for. So we've, like I said, Tom and I, a lot of the folks on our team have been through it, right? And so we bring that experience, whether you're military or not. A move is tough, and we understand it at a fundamental level, and bring that. We try to bring that experience we had where everything went wrong, and we can be that little ray of sunshine kind of at the end of the day. Yeah, namaste, right?
Yeah. Just some yoga. You guys sound like you're a huge blessing to the community you serve, and I'm just honored to have met you guys. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up that they can toss in?
We can pass on a few events that we found a lot of success in. So at the end of every year, we buy out 3 or 4 movie theaters. It's been scaling. The first year was like 1, then it went to 2. This year was 4. We found it to be very successful because you want to invite all your clients to like events, right? But some people are introverts, or some people have kids and don't want to show up. So a movie was a great way to get people in the door. They appreciated the chance to go see a movie. They know they're not going to talk to too many people, but it allowed the opportunity for them to come to us, grab their ticket, have like a minute interaction, and then go see the movie. And part of that is we use Eventbrite. So we capture emails, telephone numbers, and it creates like a huge list of warm leads that we follow up on. So we initially target our past clients, but then we always buy extra seats to say, hey, past clients, if you know anybody that wants to show up, any friends, give them a ticket. Or we want to start serving first responders like police, firefighters, those type of folks. And that allows us to do that as well.
Thank you for sharing. That's a great idea.
I've had former clients. I have a former client's got 6 children, large family, and he told me, like, jokingly, but literally the only time we go to the movies is when you guys have your events, because it's
like $20 a pop now.
Right, exactly. And so, we're always happy to hear those things, right? Like, yeah, come on, enjoy a night out. It's not a sales pitch. They typically come talk to us. We're not forcing anybody to talk to us. So we don't bother them night of. We also like to do raffles for gift baskets and stuff like that, just to keep everybody engaged and happy and those type of things. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Any other tidbits you want to toss in?
Oh, well, we'll give you one more. This summer, we're going to rent an ice cream truck out. Me and John's going to ride in the back of it, but we're going to go to all our past clients and hand out ice cream to them and their families.
To their houses?
Yeah.
In the neighborhood?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're going to go around, there'll be kids at home from school and those kind of things. And it's like, here you go, here's free. Also, we get to ride around in an ice cream truck, which sounds awesome. And so that's
only as long as you get that crazy, like, like that crazy music that you're like, is that an ice cream truck? Or are they going to take me away? I don't know.
Right.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing those 2 things. Okay, to wrap it up, tell us where everyone can find you. How do they locate you, to team up with you, work with you? Give me some details.
You can find us on Facebook. We're working a YouTube channel right now, but that's on the come up. And so you got Facebook, our website, our Google business page. We have about 150 5-star reviews right now. I would say that's about it. So, other than that, we're running around.
Patriot Real Estate Partners. It's all team based, right? So you can searching us in our area in Virginia. We're typically the top hit. Also, patriotrealestatepartners.com. The website is under construction currently, so it's going to have a huge facelift here very, very soon.
Yeah.
But we encourage folks to take a look at that. Instagram, and then, of course, our names also pop up on Facebook. We're in a ton of groups. And again, it will never start with a sales pitch. Everyone is free just to reach out, ask a question, whether you're an agent, whether you're someone looking to purchase, and you just want to know, or, hey, I want to rent my house. What does it look like, right? We are happy to spend any amount of time just educating you on the process. And then if part of that, you decide that you would like us to use our experience to help, man, we're here for you.
Perfect. Well, thank you both, Tom and John, for joining me on this podcast today. Again, they are Patriot Real Estate Partners. We'll keep links as well, but I'd love for you guys to explain and shout it out too. So thank you so much for joining this podcast. I've enjoyed meeting you both, and I wish you a wildly successful rest of 2025.
We appreciate you for inviting us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
That's it for this episode of Platinum Agent Podcast. If you're ready to take your business beyond gold and into platinum, let's connect. Reach out to me at this email, Renee@ReneeRuthOfficial.com, and we'll make something happen. Don't forget, hit subscribe because Joshua and I will be back with more insights. Until then, go platinum.